Hi friends, I am recording a video on my Canon versus using my phone. The last few videos and shorts and stuff that I've been doing on my phone, just because I wanted to get into the habit of recording, but I do have a professional camera that I figure, you know what, let's just try it out and see what that would do, if it would help me reach more folks. I personally am not attached to using a professional camera, but at the end of the day, if my goal is to create a community of psychic intuitives and spiritual folks and people that love manifestation and metaphysical things, if I want to build that community, I have to reach people. That's just the fact of the matter. And if reaching people means that I have to make higher quality content, then it just is what it is. That's the name of the game. So what I wanted to talk about is the manifestation technique that I was, what's the word I'm looking for? Not motivated. I don't know. So I made a couple of shorts about a manifestation technique that just came to my brain. And I want to tell you guys how I thought it up. So I was watching it inspired. Oh my God. That's the word I'm looking for. I was inspired by an interview that was done by Mr. Beast, and it was with Mr. Beast and Joe Rogan. And in the interview, Mr. Beast was saying how weird it is inside of the podcast, the setup that Joe Rogan has in his podcast. It's him speaking to Joe. And he's looking off and he's talking to Joe and blah, 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 but there's a camera in his face. And he says that he's not used to recording videos that way. Whenever he records a video, he looks directly into the camera. And what he says, so Joe is like, what are you thinking when you're recording these videos? And he says, when I'm looking in the camera, I'm looking at it, but I'm imagining myself from the vantage point of the person that is looking at me. And he says, I imagine myself from their perspective. And while I'm imagining myself from that perspective, I am making tweaks and changes to the way that I'm doing things. So my hand gestures, my voice inflections, or whatever it is, I do whatever I need to do in order to make it as entertaining as possible for the person that is looking at me. While I was watching that, I was like, hold on a second. That could be a manifestation technique. And so that is what inspired the shorts that I made yesterday. So if you didn't see the shorts, I'm going to explain to you what the manifestation technique is. Essentially, what you do is the same exact thing that Mr. Beast does, which is you imagine, sorry, there's yelling in the background. You imagine the world around you looking at you, but you perceive it from their vantage point. So the same way that Mr. Beast says, well, I look at the camera and I see myself from their perspective, you do the same thing with all of the objects that are around you. So if I am operating from this manifestation technique, I have this notebook. So I am imagining myself from the perspective of the notebook looking at me. So what does that look like? It depends, right? So if you're somebody that is very critical of yourself, you're very judgmental of yourself, then when you look at yourself from the vantage point of anything around you, you're going to look at yourself and you're going to begin judging yourself. You're going to begin saying, oh, I look like that. You're a big slop and this and that and a third. So one thing that's important is that when you're doing this technique, you have to be looking at yourself lovingly. So that's number one. If you're going to do this, you should be looking at yourself saying beautiful, wonderful, loving things about yourself, such as, wow, she looks amazing. She is in great shape. She looks like she takes really good care of herself. She looks really intelligent. Whatever it is that you want to think about or imagine, or whatever affirmations that you want to pour over yourself, those are the things that you are imagining that anybody or anything that is perceiving you, that is what they're thinking. And one, that is a technique that you can use in order to stay very present inside of consciousness. I don't want to say present in your body because technically you are operating inside of an out-of-body experience, but you are maintaining presence and consciousness just in general. Because at the end of the day, it is really hard to think about work or think about something that happened in the past or whatever it is that you're stressing about, it's really hard to do that while imagining yourself from the perspective of other things. It really is hard. So the beauty of this is it supports you in maintaining your presence inside of your journey of staying inside of the present moment. The other beautiful thing is if you are practicing and utilizing this tool, and again, you're being very conscious of saying only high vibrational things over you, it is an affirmation tool. It is an affirmation practice. So instead of you feeling like a robot and you're just like walking around saying, I am rich, I am this, you can imagine yourself from the vantage point of whatever is around you and say the things such as, she looks really rich. She looks like she has a lot of money. And let's say it's a day that you are feeling really bummy. I think it's a way for you to practice your affirmations, but in a way that is you attempting to manifest something. So staying on that high vibrational level and speaking those abundant manifestations over yourself. But I think it is also an opportunity for you to become really aware of the way that you are presenting yourself into the world. Because at the end of the day, all of the spiritual gurus say the same thing, which is you need to be operating as if the manifestation has already happened. So if you're somebody that's saying that you want to be rich or I want all of these things, then a lot of times the best way for you to manifest that into your life is for you to walk into it as if it is already true. I think that this vantage point technique is a way to support you being hyper aware of the way that you are presenting yourself into the world. And that is another way for you to manifest whatever it is that you want. Because you are presenting yourself as this thing, you are technically already walking into the shoes of your highest self. But in just going back to it being a manifestation technique, just in general, when you think about active imagination, and I'll probably make a video about this some other day, but Neville Goddard does talk about active imagination and what is it called? Not reframing, but revision. So he talks about revision in terms of you thinking about what happened inside of your day, and instead of you recalling the things that happen inside of your day as they actually happened, you recall the things that happen inside of your day as if it's happening the way that you wanted it to happen. So let's say that I am thinking back to when I was driving my car. If I say that I want a different type of car, I would imagine myself driving the car that is the car that I want to manifest for myself. So that is a technique that Neville Goddard has. But in terms of this vantage point technique that I'm talking about, you can do the same exact thing where you are operating or viewing yourself from the vantage point and the perspective of whatever the objects are that are around you, and they are seeing you as your higher self. So again, if I am driving my car and I have on a t-shirt, I can see myself from the vantage point of my t-shirt and see and visualize myself inside of the car that I actually want to create inside of my life versus what is actually happening around me. So you could use this technique in combination with what that Neville Goddard technique in terms of revision, and see yourself in whatever it is that you want to manifest inside of your life. So that is what I was talking about inside of my short. And I feel like I didn't do a very good I didn't explain it very well, but that was just because I was still trying to figure out in my brain the best way that it would work. But I think at the end of the day, the entire intention of manifestation, in my opinion, let me just say this, in my opinion, at the end of the day, the entire point of manifestation is to make life not so serious, make it a little bit more lighthearted. And I think by playing this game of viewing yourself from a different vantage point and seeing yourself outside of your avatar and creating whatever avatar and putting whatever, what do they call it in the games? Putting whatever, I don't know what they call it, but putting whatever you want to put on top of your avatar as you're visualizing it. I think to me, it's fun to visualize myself inside of all of these different perspectives and see myself as all of these different characters. It is a way for you to treat life as a game, because it really is, and for you to stay super present in the moment. Just maintain a positive energy in general, because I feel like it's hard to see yourself negatively when you are consciously doing it, if that makes sense. Because I feel like the ego is coming from a very unconscious place and is very much regurgitated garbage from whatever other people have said to you inside of your life previously. But when you are very conscious about the way that you are perceiving yourself, I don't think you are as, I don't think it is as habitual for you to just say negative things about yourself. I am ugly, or I am useless, or I am any of those things. You're not going to see yourself outside of yourself from that vantage point and say those negative things about yourself. And if you feel like you're going through this practice and you're doing that, I would absolutely stop, and I would start working on ways for you to see yourself in a loving way. Because at the end of the day, we are all beautiful people. We are all awesome and amazing and wonderful people on this planet. There's no reason why you should be talking trash about yourself. People, there's a lot of nasty and ugly and disgusting people out in the world. The last thing you need is for you to not even be safe inside of your head. That's the worst thing ever. So if that is something that you are experiencing, then I would definitely be working on self-love tools and techniques. I wouldn't be doing manifestation techniques. I don't think that that would be a good idea. Well, that's all I really wanted to talk about, was how I was inspired. And I had never heard about Mr. Beast, but the only thing that I know is this guy is worth $1 billion or something like that. And I feel like if somebody is making that type of money, then they are doing something right. So if he is saying that that is a practice that he has on a regular basis, then I think that we could probably learn from that. All right, you guys. I think I've said enough. Like I said, I try to keep these videos under 15 minutes, but I will catch you guys next time. Bye.